Hi, I'm Clover. Welcome to my channel. Today I figured I could show you how I made my custom Minecraft skin. I'm in desperate need of a new one. I haven't updated it since I was 13 and hadn't come out yet, so why not try it for myself the first time? I've never done this before, so I googled this helpful article that has a nice handy guide. Not completely accurate, but it gives me an idea of where to start making my design. Speaking of design, I really wanted to make this character feel like me. So I am basing all of the colorings off of my channel icon and banner. The main colors are going to be this dark green that you can see in the base of the clover, the light green that's the kind of detail elements of the clover, the pink it's on, and then for accent colors, the orange of my banner, and I figured a nice light cream would be a good neutral color. Now, I had a few different ideas for how I could use these colors, and I ended up settling on doing pink as the hair, and then dark green and light green as my outfit, with cream as most of the different accents. I didn't actually end up using orange. I had hoped to do like a little flower, but it ended up just not working at all. I really considered doing green hair and then like a pink and orange outfit, but I figured it wouldn't come across as much as me because the main part of my icon really is the clover and the green, but in the future I might try that. So making this really confusing, really hard to start out, but it got a lot easier once I had the general idea. You can see here that I ended up actually changing where the eyes were placed because I wanted more space to do detailing in the hair. I'm not completely happy with that decision. I might change it in the future, but it works for now. I started out by mimicking the sort of color design in the pattern itself just so that I could keep track of where the edges of each square were, because I knew if I just filled it in completely and then tried to add details, I would end up putting the markers for where one side was meant to be on like the completely other part of the face or body. You can see how confusing it looks like right now at my first attempt at putting in the actual outfit. Like I cannot work out where things are. I just deleted all of this. But speaking of the outfit, I figured it would be nice to do overalls because I do a whole lot of Stardew Valley. I always wear overalls in that, and I thought it'd be a cute little nod to it. Plus, it's a detailed, cute outfit that does not require me to work out where on a Minecraft body the waist is. I did anyway, eventually once I gained more confidence in this, but just trying to work out where I would put a waistband seemed too hard. And with overalls, you don't really need a waistband. Plus, I think they're a really cute outfit. I don't actually wear them myself, but I think they're nice. And it would let me use different colors without having to actually do the effort of working out where different colors belonged. It also let me experiment a little with the front and back being different without having to commit to separate pieces of clothing. So you can see here I tried a few different designs with it. The buttons would have been cute, couldn't have enough detail in this scale. So I added a little pocket instead. That pocket actually ends up becoming two-dimensional by using the second layer that you can have on a Minecraft skin, and I'm really happy with that decision. Then I added a belt in cream to like break up all of the green a little bit. First attempt, placed it wrong. Second attempt went much better, and this is actually the one I ended up going with. I really like that too. I also added a bit of a buckle and some shading to what will be the sides underneath the arms. The pant legs were much harder than expected, because the top, as you see it right here, is very nearly what I end up going with. But everything with the pants was so much harder because the pants move. You can see the inside of the legs, and there's no way to like connect it at all. And also, trying to put shoes on a Minecraft person is so hard. So hard. But I eventually work out something for it, but you can see just how long it's taken me to work out how to do my shoes for the very first attempt, and I don't even keep this design. Part of the pants I do really like is this little dirt detail and the patches. You can't really see the patches right now. I changed the color to something more obvious later, but it's to really make it look like I've been using this outfit. I've been wearing it, going around doing things, and just add that little bit of realism that I really liked. Same with like you can see color differences on the overalls near the edges where I made it look like it was a little bit worn, and that all gets emphasized later as I go more into it. If you aren't familiar with digital art at all, you can see how the program I use, Krita, has a color wheel at the top right corner and 3 sliding bars underneath. If I was trying to get a shade slightly different than something I had already placed down so that I could add this kind of dimension, I just slid one of those sliders until I got roughly the shade I wanted. You can customize color pickers in a whole lot of different ways, but this is the setup I like. Then I got rid of all of the transparent details, added the patches and the pocket and the dirt to the second layer so that I could see how it would look as a second layer. I also added the belt to the second layer because I thought that might be a nice little bit of dimension, and deleted the guide once I no longer needed it. I kept it for the head though because I knew I wanted to add things to the second layer on the head. I just didn't know what yet. So for a while, I do look like I'm wearing a weird helmet. Yeah, here I decided that the colors of the outfit just weren't quite right. Everything was slightly too pale, but especially for the arms. The arms just felt way too pale, not saturated enough, not bright enough for what I was really trying to come across as. And like, it's a fine line to walk because I don't want it to be too pale or too bright that doesn't come across as natural. But also, this is a Minecraft world. There's going to be a lot of saturation and color all over the place. So now you can really see me adding a whole lot of different splotches of different color to the overalls because I wanted to make it look like I was wearing them and actually using them and really add a lot of depth. I did that to the hair as well to try to just add the depth of, oh, this is me doing something with it. And I also, at this stage, coming up on when I would first test it, I decided I want to do something fancy for the hair. So I am just going to mark out like where a part might be and try to get just a general idea and make sure I have the right positions on everything. Because at this point, I had no idea. I didn't fully trust the guide I'd found, even though it helped me. I had no idea what I was doing. Trying to get the base idea down is actually where I spent most of my time on this skin. I've done digital art for years, so even if pixel art and trying to make pixel art into 3D is new to me, I still have a general sense of how to add shading and lighting and all of that, but just the basics of where an outfit goes and how it would transform on this sort of setup had me so uncertain and insecure. And you know what? It could have gone a lot worse. I started adding whole little bits of like what I would eventually do for the hair here too to make sure I had just the general positioning, which, spoiler, I did not have positioning correct at all, but here you go. Here's my first attempt. It's not horrible. I got everything on the correct segments at least, but it's very flat. The hair detail looks really weird. I'm not too upset with the clothes at this stage. They're clearly overalls. They're clearly on the correct spots. They just need some more refinement later. So I decided to set the clothes aside for a bit and focus on the hair. Now for the hair, I really wanted to do something that felt like me, because my hair is a massive part of my identity, and even though this character does not look anything like me, I still want it to feel like me. And one of the most important things for my hair is that I am always wearing a bandana. A bandana, a wide headband, something like that. So I wanted to incorporate that, and you can see that my first attempt kind of looked like it was just going straight into my mouth, and it took me a long while to work out how to arc that correctly. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But like just working out spacement, there were weird gaps between the side and the top because I'm trying to put a curved idea into a square shape where the pieces I'm using aren't even like aligned with each other in my actual design. So it looked really weird at different points. It looked really flat at different points or like oddly curved in. I also realized that I hadn't added any detail to the bottom, so it just looked like it was plain skin all the way to the back of the head. But slowly I started to get there. Don't ask me how sped up all of this is. Don't ask. It's very sped up. but I felt like I could reach a point where I could add a lot more detail. And so I added a whole lot more dots to the bandana to make it really look polka dotted. I tried to add like different colors and splotches of different shades of pink to the hair to make it look like there was light catching in different spots. And then I started messing around with what I would actually do for the hairstyle because I wanted long hair. I specifically wanted braids. Braids are another thing like the bandana where it's a super important part of my general aesthetic as a person. If I'm going to be around people, my hair is always braided and or pinned up, and even when I'm just doing chores, a lot of the time it's in braids, even though a ponytail or a messy bun would be easier. But I don't know if you've ever tried to do braids in 2D pixel art, but it's not exactly easy to do braids in pixel art because you need a larger scale or they just end up looking like this, massive lines. And when you're working with only pink, it's really hard to make sure that you have the right mixture of shades, that it looks like a braid, and it's also like identifiable. You can tell what all of the different sections are, but they look like they belong to one head. So I gave up on that pretty quickly, and I shifted to thinking about maybe a ponytail or like some form of long hair that had motion in it or something else. But I really liked the back of my overalls and I just couldn't decide what to do. I really like these pigtails looking back on it. I feel like they're super cute, but they covered up so much of the back of the overalls that with this outfit, just no. Deciding to do overalls was such a strength and a weakness because it was simple enough that I could pull it off, but required so much space on the body that I didn't have nearly as much opportunity to experiment. Here you can see me try some more ponytail styles, and the ponytails were a good idea. The ponytails were a really good idea, but the problem is I was outlining them in green to see them, and once I tried to actually swap to pink, it was really not clear where the ponytail was and where the rest of my hair was. And I had really liked all of the different colors and detailing and like variations I had in the base design. And to add colors and change colors enough to make a ponytail clear would have just completely required ruining that work and restarting, and I didn't want to do that. I think if I had planned from the beginning to do a ponytail, it would have worked so much better, but I just didn't. I do still really like the scrunchy idea to match the headband, but for now, I gave up. I left the ponytail idea, the braid idea, all of that behind, and I swapped to just long hair. Not this long hair. This long hair looks like a rat tail. I do not want a rat tail, but it's the base idea, and from there I could really develop it a lot. And develop it I did. I tried making it a lot longer. It looked like a straight line again for a while. I tried making it wider, but then it was covering up like all of the overalls, and I didn't want it to become like confusing if they were overalls. And then for a while it was just blending into the belt a little bit, and I tried adding more details, but like that just didn't feel right to me. So I thought, okay, I want to show the overall. Why don't I try putting it over my shoulder? And then I could wrap around a little bit to my front. You would be able to get the sense that it's long and that it's varied, but it wouldn't cover up all of my back. I start out like mapping out where that would go. I add a little bit more detail to the pants to see if that would work. This detail is definitely an improvement, but it's not great. It's still just kind of awkward on its own, but I figured it was enough to just check on my progress. And well, I like the idea, but I may have completely messed up which sides of the arms the hair actually goes on. You can see the random bits of green and bits of pink that just don't belong together. I also forgot that I had a pocket on the second layer, so all of my detail and like attempted little curl in the front didn't work. But I liked the idea. So I went, this could work. I'm going to add detail to it at the same time that I add detail to everything else. I fixed where the hair goes on the shoulder. I thought, spoiler alert, I did not. I really extended it. I added it over the pocket properly. I added a whole bunch of different splotches to the pants to match the top of the overalls so that it would look like I had worn them beyond the patches. Just different natural wear and tear. And then I started adding shadows to the hair because you can see in the top that I had really focused on adding brighter, darker colors to the hair near the bottom, near the underside of the bandana where it would naturally get shadows. And so I added that also to the top edge and the bottom edge of the hair over my shoulder and around my front, so that it would look like light was catching the center of it and dispersing around it, and really add that little bit of dimension that's hard to get in pixel art. And then I kept going. I wanted to add dimension to the arms because I thought they looked super flat still. So I added outlines in a slightly darker shade around the places where it met the overalls. You can't really see it very much in the final state, but I did that. And I tried adding the same thing to the corners of the arms. But as you can see, this is probably my worst idea throughout it. I just look weirdly streaky. Like, I failed at stripes somehow. It does not work at all. So that gets dumped pretty fast. This is also where I realized that the boots are really ugly and do not work. But you know what? That's a problem that can be fixed. And I like the hair, so the hair works. Everything else is just needs a little bit more improvement, you know? I finally fixed the hair over the pocket, and I go, the hair works everywhere else. I just want the bandana to have some more depth. So I make the decision to put the bandana on the second layer, which again, don't ask me how long this took. I had to copy over every single color and mark and shade. And I'm really glad I did, because it makes it feel like it isn't just part of my hair by default, and makes it more clear where different things are. And that this is actually resting on my head instead of in it somehow. But once I actually went in, I realized that it had this weird line, and you can only see it at some angles, but there is a double line and an extra line of white in the hair itself because the bandana is on the second layer. And I did not like that. I'm sure actually playing, like, I wouldn't notice it at all. I would just brush past it, but I could tell that something was off. So I tried adding hair around the bandana itself as like, maybe this will mask it. And then I realized that the problem is almost certainly the fact that the bandana is on 2 layers. So I make the decision to just completely get rid of the first layer of the headband, which terrified me to do. So instead of going to look at it, I went and I added some more details to the hair on the second layer. I tried to improve the shoes a little bit. I don't think I succeeded, but it's also what I ended up going with. And this is about it. There is one more change I made. I will show you just a clip of me jumping into the game originally to film it and see if you can spot it. Let me know if you can, but I fix it real quick and jump back in. So here's my skin. I am so happy with how this turned out. It was super easy to make, and there's so many different details that you can tell that it's not just a flat line and a flat color, and that really does help, I think, with making it look real. Well, as real as a Minecraft character can. And I love how, like, you can see the details continue as, like, the legs move. You can see the patches, you can see the waist. The hair, I'm not quite as much in love with, and I feel like there is more details I could do all over it, but I think it's very good for a first attempt, and I'm really happy I did it. If you're considering making your own custom skin and you've never done it before, I really suggest you do it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this, and I can't wait to use this skin in future videos. See you then!